Whew, cold. Frigid out here today. Yeah. Get this good old Tuesday started. Hope everybody having a blessed day today. Hope your morning is going delightful. Time to turn some steering wheel. Frigid. So one of the things I want to touch on today pretty much, have been on my mind, and a lot of people was asking me what's like the best way to get into like trucking starting out. That was like one of the big questions of the day. Well, yesterday pretty much from a lot of my people. It was asking me, hey, is it good to like go over the road or try to get in somewhere locally? There's some cons and effects on both of those answers. There's really like no real set way to go. It's just your preference of what you got going on at home, pretty much. Me, how I just get my background story coming up. Me, how I did it was pretty much I was already like dealing with like semis or whatnot. Like in my workplace, I was like a helper on the truck. That's how I came up. So I was in the truck every day. Now I did this job for like 4 years. I was in around these trucks every day helping out like offloading Starbucks products, things like that. I was doing this for 4 years before I actually like, okay, let me go on ahead and do this for real, for real. So I was around them for about, uh, was it four? Yeah, it was around like 4 years. I was around them, and I'm like, okay. At the time when I started the job, I wasn't old enough really to actually be behind the wheel because you got to be like 21 for them to actually let you cross state lines in my state. So it really ain't make no sense for me. I started that job, I was like 17 and a half, 18. So I was around them the whole time, and I'm still like, okay, cool. Maybe I can drive it, maybe not. So they had this sweet little program going on. Like around the time when I was finna go, they told me, okay, we need some help on the transportation side, like driving the semis. With any of the helpers, they was gonna grandfather us in and give us our experience if we got the license. Catch 22 to that was they wasn't offering to pay for the license. So we had to pay out of pocket, but at the time we was making decent enough money where it still would have made sense if you catch my drift. By just going on and, getting them on your own and not having them in your pockets. It was like no contract. Like the benefit from that was you didn't have to go over the road for one. Number two, you at home every night. It was a local position. You home every night. So I just went on bit the bait. I'm like, all right, let me try it out. It was like two other helpers before me that started, and they went on, did they want to with it, and it pretty much worked out for everybody in the long run. I got my experience. I stayed with them exactly 24 months because I knew anywhere I went, I still needed that 24 months. A lot of places now take you 6 months to a year, but the pay ain't really what you want it to be. I had to, still be competitive in the pay that I was already receiving from that gig that I was on. We was getting paid pretty good. So I'm like, I'd be damned if I get licensed, work here, and then go somewhere else and then make less money. It didn't really make sense. So I'm like, nah, let me sit around here a little longer, get my experience, because any other company that was paying more than them needed that 24 months. It was no ways around that at the time. We talking 2015, 10 years ago. So I'm like, okay, I know I needed that. But another thing I was also looking at, I'm like, okay, this first year I'm making good enough money. Why settle for less and go to another company when I can sit somewhere and buy my own rig in that same 24 period and still bounce? So I went for the juggler, like how you doing football. You go for the win. So I gambled. It ended up paying out for me because I was able to, save enough money to buy my own truck. Also, having enough money, enough fucking, experience to go to any company that I wanted to. So I end up leaving, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gone. Like, when that 24 month it had hit, I had bought the truck. The company that I was with was real upset because I was a pretty good worker with them. And I was young at the time. Got a 22-year-old kid, man. He doing this thing, and 22 going on 23-year-old kid doing this thing. And, I was busting my A word on it, on the job. So, who would want to lose a driver like that? So when I ended up getting my license, I went that route. Now, I got a buddy that, God rest his soul, he's no longer with us now. He went the totally opposite direction than when I went, but it still ended up panning out. Which, every person's road is not the same, which I stated earlier in the video. It's about really how your life is set up and what you got going on. So he went a different approach. He ended up going through this thing called the wheel program. I don't know if it's in every state, but I know it's in majority of these states. That if you one of them people that, you don't really have the money and you really don't want to sign on with one of these companies and do that 24 months with them, non-exceptions, they'll pay for them out of pocket if you're not, if you're not making that much money and you under a certain amount. It's like government incentive program pretty much. He went that route. So when he went that route, he ended up getting his license. He still needed, the 24 months to get in somewhere. So he was fresh out of school with license, though, paid for. All him. He ended up signing on with Snyder's program. Snyder was pretty good when he started with them. They taught him the ins and outs. They taught him the basics, what you need to know behind the wheel of these trucks. They taught him that. So he learned that or whatever. And it didn't really take him that long. Like, it still ended up working out for him because he still, again, avoided the over-the-road thing. He didn't have to, do OTR because we was young at the time. Both of us, man, we was 22, 23-year-old. You know how it is when you're young. You really don't want to be out there on the road. And we pretty much city boys. We was, around in the city all the time. We didn't know nothing about the big world back then. So he did the same thing, but he was like, regional with them, but he'll go out, lay a night, if that, throughout a week, and then he back at home every night. So it ended up panning out for him. He did 24 months with them, and then ended up cutting off with his cousin, and, it still ended up, it took him probably like an additional 2 to 3 years more than it took me, but he still ended up, getting his own rig. So it took him 5, I got mines in 2, but hey, it ain't no foot race with nothing. Whatever floats your boat and be the best way for you. It's just about, your strategy and what you got going on in your life, pretty much. Like if your life is set up where it's lax, then you got a lot of free time, you accomplish a lot more than a person that, got a lot of stuff riding on them. Like I said, don't let that discourage you about the time periods to take. But it ended up working out, for both of us. We end up both making it. So I say that to say, like, there's really not no wrong way of doing it. I know some guys that did go over the road. They learned a lot more, because they out there. You on your own. You got to learn when you out there on the road on your own, or you just out there You don't even want me to say it, but hey, you just out there lost in the sauce, man. So it's still, a learning experience. If you had to take one of those routes, that'd be good. But out of those three, the first thing is gonna start with you enrolling to a school in your nearest area. And just get the basics down, man, because ain't no job really gonna teach you what you need, actually need to know behind the wheel. You actually got to get behind the wheel in one of these vehicles and turn it, dictate how you drive. So that's pretty much the basics of how to get in it. And touching back on when you first start, you really ain't looking at the pay. You more so trying to chase the knowledge behind it. It's like apprenticeship. Like before you become a doctor, you got to be a nurse. You learn different steps, to work your way up to the pay that you desire. The more years you get behind the wheels, that's when your value and your net worth go up. Because then you become, hey, I got a clean driving record. I've been driving such and such years, say 10, 20 years, At that point, you know what's going on out here on the road. And try to also not have too many breaks in your work history. That's another thing they look at. Now, a lot of guys I know that have licensed 10 years, but only then drove an actual truck a month. That ain't gonna help you. You gotta actually be out here in the field, banging out here, doing your 1-2, to get the actual experience. Because these big employers, when you go to try to apply for them, they're gonna ask you for 10 years work history. And if you ain't got at least 2 years verified where they can actually call, a company and ask them, hey, was such and such working for us, and they don't have no record of you, oh, that's null and void. So that's the biggest thing you chasing on starting out driving one of these vehicles. You want to try to have at least 24 months verified to really jump into the meat and potatoes of the trucking realm. So I say that to say, if you can get on a good foot, try to, research what plan works best for you to get you on your next journey on what you got going on in your life, to try to turn a different chapter in your book, as I may say, in life. So, you take that with a grain of salt, and, we'll go from there on that. And that's pretty much going to be today's video of what I'm talking about today. I pretty much covered, what is the best route to jump into the trucking round. You got any questions or anything, man, feel free to drop them down in the comment section. Please share this video. It may not apply to you. It may apply to somebody in your family or one of your friends. Just share my video. Help me grow my platform. Get me monetized. Just share my video, like it. And again, this is BP checking out with another one. We'll be back tomorrow in the morning with another video and another topic. But let me know if we need to go more depth into this topic. You all have a blessed day. And stay out the way. This is BP checking out. Thanks.